Happiness is not stolen in one day. It is quietly leaked, a little every morning. Dear friends, you are stepping into a new season of life, new goals, new pressures, new expectations. And somewhere between chasing success and surviving stress, many of us forget the most important question. Am I at peace with myself? 2026 will test you, not because life will be cruel, but because life will be busy. So today, I want to share one daily practice, broken into 7 simple life lessons that will protect your happiness, no matter what the world throws at you. Not big philosophies, not complicated routines, just lived wisdom. Before the world touches you, touch your own soul. Most people wake up already late in their mind, late in their emotions, late in their peace. The alarm rings and within seconds, the phone is in their hand. Messages, notifications, news, opinions, other people's emergencies, other people's success, other people's lives. And before they even place their feet on the ground, their inner world is already invaded. This is not how a human being was designed to begin the day. The quality of your life is deeply connected to the quality of your mornings. And the quality of your mornings depends on one simple question: who gets access to you first? When you wake up and immediately give the world access to your mind, you are telling life, you decide how I should feel today. And life is not always kind. Life is noisy. Life is demanding. Life is unpredictable. So if you let the world set your emotional tone, don't be surprised when you feel anxious, rushed, irritated, or empty before the day even begins. But when you begin the day consciously, even for a few minutes, something powerful happens. You shift from reaction to intention. You move from chaos to clarity. You don't need a long ritual. You don't need incense, music, or perfect silence. All you need is sincerity. Sit up, breathe slowly, become aware that you are alive, that your heart is beating without your permission, that air is entering your lungs freely, that you have been given another day, not because you earned it, but because life is generous. This awareness is not small, it is sacred. When you start your day with this inner pause, you create a gap between stimulus and response. And in that gap lies freedom. The freedom to choose your attitude. The freedom to choose patience over panic. The freedom to choose purpose over pressure. Many people think happiness comes from controlling life. But peace comes from controlling how you meet life. The morning is the steering wheel of the day. Turn it gently, consciously, and the entire direction changes. A calm morning does not guarantee a perfect day. Problems will still come, challenges will still knock, but they will meet a different version of you. Someone grounded, centered, awake, and this version of you does not break easily. When the day begins in silence, your mind learns to listen. When the day begins in gratitude, your heart learns to soften. When the day begins in prayer or reflection, your ego learns humility. You stop rushing to prove. You stop rushing to impress. You stop rushing to compare. Instead, you start moving with purpose. People often say, I don't have time in the morning. But the truth is, you don't make time for what you don't value. And if you don't value your inner state, the world will happily use it against you. 5 minutes of awareness in the morning can save you hours of emotional damage later in the day. One conscious breath can prevent one unconscious reaction. One moment of stillness can protect an entire day from unnecessary suffering. This daily beginning is not about escaping reality. It is about preparing for it. Think of an athlete before a big game. They don't jump straight into chaos. They warm up, they stretch, they center themselves. Life is no different. Every day is a match. Every day requires inner readiness. And slowly, without you realizing it, something changes. You become less reactive. You become more observant. You become more patient with others and kinder to yourself. Your happiness stops depending on how the day goes. it starts depending on how you begin it. This is why ancient wisdom across cultures emphasized mornings, not because mornings are magical, but because the mind is most impressionable then. What you feed it early becomes the lens through which it sees everything else. So tomorrow morning, don't rush into the world. Let the world wait. Sit with yourself first. Breathe. Remember who you are beyond your roles, your responsibilities, and your expectations. When you begin the day before the world touches you, you don't just start the day, you anchor it. Gratitude is not a feeling, it is a decision you make every single day. The world will constantly invite you to compare. It does it subtly, through social media, through conversations, through achievements that are celebrated loudly and struggles that are hidden quietly. Without realizing it, you begin to measure your worth using someone else's ruler. And the moment comparison enters, happiness quietly leaves. You start waking up not with appreciation, but with pressure. Pressure to catch up, pressure to prove, pressure to become someone else. And this pressure is exhausting because no matter how far you go, comparison has no finish line. There is always someone ahead. There is always someone doing better. There is always a newer version of success waiting to make you feel behind. Gratitude breaks this cycle, not by lowering your ambition, but by grounding it. When you practice gratitude daily, you remind yourself of a powerful truth: I am already standing on blessings I once prayed for. And this awareness changes everything. Most people don't lack happiness, they lack awareness of what they already have. Health becomes invisible when it is present. Peace becomes unnoticed when it is stable. Relationships become taken for granted when they are consistent. We only realize their value when they are threatened or lost. Gratitude brings that realization early, before loss teaches it painfully. Each day when you consciously acknowledge what is working in your life, your mind slowly rewires itself. It stops scanning for what is missing and starts recognizing what is meaningful. And what the mind focuses on, the heart feels. You don't need dramatic gratitude. You don't need poetic words. Simple awareness is enough. A roof that keeps you safe, food that nourishes you, a body that carries you, a friend who checks in, a lesson that made you wiser. When gratitude becomes daily, entitlement disappears. And entitlement is one of the biggest thieves of joy. The moment you feel life owes you something, dissatisfaction becomes your permanent companion. But when you feel life has already been generous, even small things feel like gifts. Gratitude also protects you from bitterness. When things don't go your way, and they won't, gratitude reminds you that one setback does not cancel an entire life of blessings. One bad moment does not define a bad life. One closed door does not mean all doors are shut. A grateful heart does not deny pain. It simply refuses to let pain dominate perspective. There is also a quiet confidence that comes from gratitude. When you stop comparing, you stop competing unnecessarily. You stop chasing validation from people who don't know your journey. You begin to respect your own pace. You realize that life is not a race. It is a personal path, and no one else can walk it for you. This doesn't mean you stop learning from others. It means you stop measuring yourself against them. Inspiration lifts you. Comparison suffocates you. Gratitude keeps inspiration pure and comparison powerless. Daily gratitude also changes how you show up in the world. You become kinder, more patient, more generous. When you appreciate what you have, you naturally want to protect it and share it. And happiness grows when it flows outward, not when it is hoarded inward. Many people think happiness will come after they achieve more. Gratitude teaches you that happiness grows while you are becoming more. It turns the journey into something meaningful, not just the destination. At night, before sleeping, or in the morning when you wake up, pause and ask yourself what went right today. Not what went perfect, just what went right. Your mind has been trained to notice problems. Gratitude retrains it to notice grace, and slowly you will notice something beautiful happening. You will still have goals, but less anxiety. You will still want growth, but with less desperation. You will still work hard, but with more peace, because gratitude reminds you that your worth is not under construction. It already exists. When comparison fades, contentment arrives, and contentment is not complacency. It is confidence without arrogance. It is ambition without restlessness. It is success without emptiness. In a world constantly telling you that you are not enough, gratitude is the quiet voice that says, you are already blessed and still becoming. And that balance is where real happiness lives. Happiness grows where self-respect lives. And self-respect is built through discipline, not mood. Most people wait to feel ready before they act. They wait for motivation. They wait for confidence. They wait for the right energy. But life does not reward waiting. Life rewards consistency. Discipline is not about being harsh with yourself. It is about being honest with yourself. Every day you make small promises in your mind. I'll wake up on time. I'll work out. I'll finish this task. I'll stop procrastinating. And every time you break those promises, something inside weakens, not dramatically, quietly. You don't lose talent. You don't lose intelligence. You lose trust in yourself. And when self-trust erodes, happiness struggles to survive. This is why discipline matters. Not because it makes you productive, but because it makes you reliable to yourself. Doing one disciplined action daily is enough. Just one. Something small but intentional. Something that tells your inner voice, I can count on myself. It could be waking up 10 minutes earlier. It could be moving your body for 15 minutes. It could be completing a task you've been avoiding. It could be saying no to a distraction that steals your focus. The size of the action is irrelevant. The consistency is everything. When you act with discipline, even when you don't feel like it, you send a powerful message to your subconscious. My feelings do not control my future. And that message builds quiet confidence. Motivation is emotional. Discipline is spiritual. Motivation comes and goes. Discipline stays. Motivation depends on circumstances. Discipline depends on values. When your life is driven only by motivation, you become a victim of mood swings. But when discipline leads, stability follows. This stability is deeply connected to happiness, because happiness doesn't come from comfort. It comes from growth, and growth requires effort. Think of a muscle. It doesn't grow when it is comfortable. It grows when it is challenged, rested, and challenged again. Your character works the same way. Discipline is the resistance that strengthens it. Many people associate discipline with restriction. But discipline actually creates freedom. When you control your habits, you don't have to be controlled by consequences. When you manage your time, you don't have to panic later. When you honor your commitments, you don't have to carry guilt. Freedom is not doing whatever you want. Freedom is having the strength to do what is right. And there is a deep joy in that strength. Every disciplined action deposits confidence into your inner bank. Over time, these deposits accumulate. You start trusting yourself more. You start believing in your own word. And this belief becomes a powerful source of happiness because you are no longer dependent on external validation. You don't need constant applause. You don't need approval for every step. You know who you are becoming. Discipline also brings clarity. When your life has structure, your mind has space. When your actions are intentional, your thoughts are calmer. Chaos in habits often creates chaos in emotions. Order in habits creates order in the heart. This doesn't mean your life will become rigid or joyless. On the contrary, discipline creates room for joy. When responsibilities are handled, guilt disappears. And when guilt disappears, enjoyment becomes pure. Many people feel guilty even while resting because they know they are avoiding something important. Discipline removes this inner conflict. When you've done what needed to be done, rest becomes rewarding, not restless. The happiest people are not the most relaxed ones. They are the most aligned ones. Their actions match their values. Their effort matches their dreams. Discipline also teaches humility. It reminds you that success is not magic. It is built daily, quietly, without shortcuts. And this humility protects you from arrogance and entitlement, two silent killers of happiness. When you do one disciplined thing daily, you are not just improving your life, you are strengthening your identity. You are becoming someone who shows up even when it's hard. And over time, this consistency transforms how you see yourself. You stop saying, I wish I could. You start saying, I will, because I always do. That inner certainty is powerful. That inner certainty is peaceful. That inner certainty is happiness, rooted in self-respect. Discipline doesn't steal joy, it protects it. Your mind is the most valuable space you own, and yet it is the most unprotected. You lock your doors, you protect your bank account, you are careful with your passwords, but you allow any thought, any opinion, any headline, any voice to walk freely into your mind without permission. And then you wonder why you feel anxious, overwhelmed, restless, or drained. Happiness cannot survive in a mind that is constantly under attack. Not every thought is true. Not every thought is useful. And not every thought deserves your attention. The mind is a powerful tool, but it is also easily influenced. Whatever you repeatedly feed, it becomes familiar. And what becomes familiar slowly becomes believable. If you constantly expose your mind to fear, comparison, outrage, negativity, and chaos, your inner world will start reflecting that chaos. Even when nothing is actually wrong in your life, your mind will behave as if something is always wrong. Guarding your mind does not mean escaping reality. It means choosing what kind of reality you internalize. There is a difference between being informed and being overloaded. There is a difference between awareness and addiction to negativity. When you consume too much noise, you lose touch with your inner voice. And when you lose that voice, you start living on autopilot. Peace requires boundaries. You must decide what you allow to shape your thinking. The music you listen to, the content you watch, the conversations you engage in, the people you surround yourself with. These are not neutral influences. They are silently programming your emotional state. A disciplined life without a disciplined mind still feels restless. But a protected mind, even in a busy life, can feel calm. One simple daily practice is to question your thoughts instead of obeying them. When a negative thought arises, pause. Ask yourself, is this true? Is this helpful? Is this within my control? Most anxious thoughts fail all three tests. Your mind often exaggerates problems, replays mistakes, and imagines futures that never arrive. When you don't challenge these thoughts, they begin to feel like facts. But thoughts are just suggestions, not commands. You are not your thoughts. You are the observer of your thoughts. This realization alone can reduce suffering significantly. Guarding your mind also means limiting exposure to constant stimulation. Silence is not empty. Silence is cleansing. When you spend even a few minutes a day without screens, without input, without distraction, your nervous system resets. Your mind exhales. Many people are tired not because they do too much, but because they think too much. And most of that thinking is unnecessary. A peaceful mind is not a mind without problems. It is a mind that knows how to rest between problems. When you intentionally protect your mind, you begin to notice changes. You react less. You pause more. You respond instead of reacting. You stop taking everything personally. You stop assuming the worst. You stop carrying burdens that were never yours to carry. This mental clarity directly impacts happiness. Because happiness is not excitement. Happiness is stability. It is the ability to remain centered even when circumstances shift. Guarding your mind also protects your energy. When you constantly engage in arguments, comparisons, and negativity, your energy leaks. And when energy leaks, motivation drops, patience shortens, and joy fades. But when you choose your mental diet carefully, energy returns, focus sharpens, emotional resilience strengthens. This doesn't mean ignoring reality. It means engaging with reality wisely. You don't need to know everything. You don't need to respond to everything. You don't need to carry everyone's opinions. Your peace is more valuable than being right. When your mind becomes a safe place, your heart relaxes. And when your heart relaxes, happiness finds room to stay. A guarded mind is not a closed mind. It is a conscious mind. One that chooses clarity over chaos. One that chooses depth over noise. In a world competing for your attention, guarding your mind is not selfish. It is survival. And survival with peace is a beautiful way to live. Happiness begins to shrink the moment life becomes only about you. Not because you don't matter, but because you were never designed to live in isolation. The human heart is wired for connection, contribution, and care. When all your thoughts revolve around your own problems, your own ambitions, your own fears, the world slowly feels heavier. Even success feels empty when it has nowhere to flow. Service changes that direction. When you do something, anything, for someone else, the mind loosens its grip on self-obsession. Perspective returns. Gratitude deepens, purpose awakens, and the most beautiful part is this: service doesn't require time, money, or grand gestures. It requires intention, a kind message, a sincere compliment, listening without checking your phone, helping without expecting recognition. These small acts may seem insignificant, but they do something profound inside you. They remind you that you are capable of impact beyond yourself. And that realization brings a deep, steady happiness. Many people think they will serve once they become successful, stable, or less busy. But service is not the reward at the end of the journey. It is the fuel during the journey. It keeps the heart soft while life hardens you. When you serve daily, even in small ways, you begin to experience a quiet joy that does not depend on circumstances. Because service shifts your focus from what I am missing to what I can give. And the moment you give, you stop feeling empty. Service also protects you from arrogance. When life starts going well, ego tries to convince you that you deserve everything you have. But when you regularly help others, humility stays alive. You remember that you didn't rise alone, that someone supported you, that life gave you opportunities others are still waiting for. This humility keeps happiness clean, free from pride, comparison, and entitlement. Serving others also heals emotional wounds. When you are hurting, the instinct is to withdraw, to isolate, to protect yourself. But isolation often deepens pain. Service gently pulls you outward. It reminds you that while your pain is real, it is not the whole story. Helping someone else does not erase your struggles, but it places them in context. It reminds you that life is bigger than one moment, one failure, or one disappointment, there is also a deep sense of meaning that comes from service. Success answers the question, what did I achieve? Service answers a more important question, who did I help? And meaning sustains happiness far longer than pleasure ever can. When you serve without expecting anything in return, you free yourself from the need for validation. You stop measuring your worth by likes, applause, or recognition. You do good because it is good, not because it is seen. And that integrity creates inner peace. Daily service also builds emotional resilience. When you practice kindness consistently, your heart becomes stronger, less reactive, more patient, more forgiving. You stop carrying unnecessary resentment because you are too busy contributing positively. Kindness, when practiced daily, becomes a form of strength. And over time, something subtle but powerful happens. You start attracting better energy, better conversations, better relationships, not because you are trying to impress, but because people can feel sincerity. A serving heart is magnetic. This doesn't mean becoming a doormat or neglecting your own needs. True service comes from fullness, not self-sacrifice that breeds resentment. It is about giving what you can, where you can, with wisdom. Even on your worst days, you can still serve. A smile, a thank you, a moment of patience. These require no energy, but they generate plenty. And at the end of the day, when you reflect on your actions, service leaves a special kind of satisfaction. Not excitement, not adrenaline, but contentment. You sleep better when you know you made someone's day a little lighter. In a world obsessed with taking, choosing to give daily is a quiet rebellion. And this rebellion protects your happiness more than any achievement ever could. Because the heart that serves daily rarely feels empty. Life will not always cooperate with your plans. No matter how intelligent you are, how prepared you are, or how sincere your intentions are, there will be moments when things fall apart. Expectations break, doors close, people change. Effort does not always lead to an outcome. This is not a sign that life is against you. It is simply life being life. The mistake many people make is trying to control everything. They believe that if they plan perfectly, think positively enough, or work harder, they can eliminate uncertainty. But control is an illusion, and chasing it creates constant tension. Peace does not come from controlling life. Peace comes from mastering your response to life. There are two types of pain we experience. One comes from situations we cannot control. The other comes from how we react to them. The first is unavoidable. The second is optional. When you accept what you cannot change, you free an enormous amount of mental energy. You stop fighting reality. And when you stop fighting reality, clarity returns. Acceptance is not giving up. It is growing up. It means acknowledging the situation as it is, not as you wish it to be. And from that place of honesty, you choose your next step wisely. Many people confuse acceptance with weakness, but acceptance actually requires strength. It requires humility to say, this is beyond me. And humility is a powerful foundation for peace. When you accept life's unpredictability, you stop taking things personally. You realize that not every delay is a denial. Not every rejection is an insult. Not every loss is a punishment. Some things simply happen because they are meant to teach, redirect, or strengthen you. What truly defines you is not what happens, but how you respond when it does. Your response is your responsibility. And within that responsibility lies your freedom. You may not control the weather, but you choose whether to carry an umbrella or complain all day. You may not control someone's behavior, but you choose whether to absorb their negativity or maintain your composure. Every moment gives you this choice. When you respond with patience instead of anger, you protect your peace. When you respond with effort instead of despair, you protect your future. When you respond with faith instead of fear, you protect your hope. Faith does not mean believing everything will go your way. Faith means trusting that even when things don't go your way, you will be guided through them. This mindset transforms challenges into teachers. Instead of asking, "Why is this happening to me?" you begin asking, "What is this trying to show me?" That shift changes everything. You stop wasting energy on blame. You stop replaying the past. You stop fearing every uncertain future. You become present, and presence is deeply connected to happiness. When you are present, you are not trapped in regret or anxiety. You deal with what is in front of you, one step at a time. Mastering your response also builds emotional maturity. You stop reacting impulsively. You pause, you reflect, you choose your words carefully, you act from values, not impulses. This maturity protects relationships, it protects self-respect, it protects inner peace. Many conflicts, regrets, and emotional wounds are not caused by what happened, but by how someone reacted in the moment. A calm response can prevent years of bitterness. A thoughtful pause can save a relationship. When you accept what you cannot control and focus on what you can, your life becomes lighter. You no longer carry the weight of the entire universe on your shoulders. You do your part and then you let go. Letting go is not indifference, it is trust. Trust that you will handle whatever comes. Trust that growth is happening even when it feels uncomfortable. Trust that detours are not dead ends. This trust brings peace, and peace brings happiness that is not fragile. In a world full of uncertainty, the ability to remain steady is a rare strength. And those who develop it don't just survive life, they live it with grace. The day does not define you. How you digest the day does. Most people end their day the same way they live it. Rushed, distracted, mentally scrolling, emotionally unfinished. They lie down with their body tired but their mind wide awake. Conversations replay, mistakes echo, worries multiply, and sleep becomes shallow because the heart is heavy. Happiness cannot grow in a life without reflection. Reflection is not overthinking. Reflection is honesty with compassion. At the end of each day, you are given a quiet opportunity to meet yourself. Not the version you showed the world, the real one, the one who tried, the one who struggled, the one who learned. When you don't reflect, life keeps teaching the same lessons again and again. When you do reflect, growth accelerates. Reflection asks gentle questions. What went well today? What challenged me? Where did I act with integrity? Where can I do better tomorrow? These questions are not meant to judge you, they are meant to guide you. Regret is harsh. It says, you failed. Reflection is kind. It says, you're learning. When you end your day with regret, you carry shame into tomorrow. When you end your day with reflection, you carry wisdom. And wisdom is a powerful protector of happiness. Many people are hard on themselves. They expect perfection in an imperfect world. They punish themselves for being human. But growth does not happen through self-criticism. It happens through self-awareness. When you reflect honestly, without excuses and without cruelty, you create space for improvement without emotional damage. You take responsibility without losing self-respect. This balance is rare and beautiful. Reflection also allows you to release the day, to mentally close chapters, to forgive yourself for what didn't go as planned, to forgive others for what they couldn't give. Holding on to unfinished emotions is exhausting. Reflection lets you process them before they harden into resentment or regret. When you take a few moments at night to reflect, your mind learns closure. And a mind that knows closure rests better. Sleep becomes deeper, the heart becomes lighter, tomorrow feels less intimidating. Reflection also strengthens gratitude. When you replay the day consciously, you notice small victories you would otherwise miss. A difficult conversation you handled calmly, a task you completed, a moment of kindness you offered, a temptation you resisted. These moments matter. They are proof of growth. Without reflection, you focus only on what went wrong. With reflection, you see the full picture. And seeing the full picture brings balance. Ending the day with reflection also aligns you with purpose. It reminds you that life is not random, that each day, no matter how ordinary, contributes to who you are becoming. Even boring days shape discipline. Even hard days shape resilience. Even quiet days shape clarity. Nothing is wasted when you are aware. There is also a spiritual depth to reflection. It humbles you. It reminds you that you are a work in progress, that grace is needed, that guidance is welcome. When you reflect with faith, you stop carrying the illusion that you must figure everything out alone. You learn to surrender outcomes while committing to effort. This surrender brings peace. Reflection turns life into a classroom instead of a courtroom. You are not constantly on trial. You are constantly learning. And learning people are happier people because they are not afraid of mistakes. They are curious about growth. End your day gently, not with your phone, not with noise, but with awareness. Even 2 minutes is enough. Sit quietly, breathe, acknowledge the day, learn from it, release it. Tomorrow does not need you to be perfect. It needs you to be present. When each day ends with reflection, instead of regret, your life slowly becomes lighter, wiser, and more peaceful. And peace, deep, steady peace, is the truest form of happiness. This is how you protect your joy, not once, but daily. Because if there is one truth you must carry into 2026, it is this. Happiness is not something you stumble upon. It is something you practice day after day, choice after choice, moment after moment. The world will try to steal your happiness loudly, through pressure, through comparison, through fear, through constant urgency. And sometimes it won't even feel like stealing. It will feel normal. It will feel like this is just how life is. But life is not meant to be lived constantly exhausted on the inside. You are not born just to survive schedules, deadlines, and expectations. You are born to live with meaning, steadiness, and quiet joy. And that joy is protected by how you live daily, not occasionally. It is protected in the morning, when you choose awareness before noise. It is protected when you choose gratitude over comparison. It is protected when you keep small promises to yourself. It is protected when you guard your mind from chaos. It is protected when you serve without needing applause. It is protected when you accept what you can't control and master what you can. It is protected when you end the day with learning instead of self-blame. None of these are dramatic. None of these will trend on social media. But together, they create something rare, inner stability. And inner stability is the foundation of real happiness. You see, happiness is not laughter every day. It is no excitement all the time. It is not the absence of problems. Happiness is the ability to remain rooted even when life shakes you. Anyone can be happy when things are going well. But the person who learns these daily practices carries happiness even through uncertainty, even through delay, even through disappointment. And that is strength. As you move forward, remember this. Life will test your patience. People will test your boundaries. Circumstances will test your faith. But nothing can steal your happiness without your participation, not failure, not rejection, not uncertainty. Only neglect can steal it. Neglect of your inner life, neglect of reflection, neglect of discipline, neglect of gratitude. So don't wait for a perfect year. Don't wait for everything to fall into place. Happiness is not waiting at the finish line. It walks with you when you choose it daily. Some days you will do all of this imperfectly, and that's okay. This path is not about being flawless. It is about being sincere. Progress over perfection. Awareness over autopilot. Faith over fear. When you fall, return. When you forget, remember. When you feel lost, slow down. Life is not asking you to be extraordinary. It is asking you to be present. And if you can do these small things daily, something beautiful will happen. Not overnight, not dramatically, but quietly. You will wake up lighter. You will react less. You will trust yourself more. You will need less validation. You will feel more grounded in who you are. And one day, without realizing it, you will notice that happiness is no longer something you chase. It is something that stays. So as you step into 2026, walk gently, walk consciously, walk faithfully, protect your peace, honor your growth, serve with humility, live with purpose, and remember this final truth: success may impress the world, but peace will carry you through life. Nothing outside you has the power to steal your happiness. Unless you give it permission, choose wisely, choose daily. Then sit with me for a moment, slow down, breathe, because what I'm about to share is not meant to motivate you for 5 minutes. It is meant to stay with you for years. If there is one misunderstanding about happiness in today's world, it is this: people think happiness is a reward, something life gives you after you've proven yourself, after success, after money, after recognition, after everything finally settles. But life rarely settles. And that is why so many people feel tired even when things are going well. Happiness was never meant to be postponed. It was meant to be protected, quietly, daily, intentionally. The truth is, nobody wakes up one morning and suddenly loses all their joy. It leaks away slowly, through habits we ignore, through thoughts we don't question, through choices we make on autopilot. One rushed morning at a time, one ungrateful comparison at a time, one broken promise to yourself at a time, one unguarded thought at a time, one day lived only for or yourself, one reaction you didn't pause before, one night you didn't reflect on, and before you know it, life looks full on the outside but feels hollow on the inside. So let me say this clearly, especially as you step into 2026. The world does not steal your happiness. Neglect does. Neglect of your inner life. We live in a culture that celebrates achievement but ignores alignment, that applauds productivity but forgets peace, that rewards noise but overlooks stillness. You are praised for how much you do but rarely asked how you are doing. And slowly you start confusing motion with meaning. You wake up busy. You go to sleep exhausted. And somewhere in between you forget to live. This is why daily practices matter. Not dramatic resolutions, not motivational highs, but small, repeatable choices that anchor you when life becomes chaotic. Because happiness is not intensity. Happiness is stability. It is waking up without dread. It is responding instead of reacting. It is being able to sit with yourself in silence without needing distraction. It is trusting yourself. It is sleeping with a lighter heart. And that kind of happiness is built, not found, built in the morning when you choose awareness before noise. That moment when you wake up and decide not to rush into the world, but to meet yourself first. To remember that before you are a role, a title, or a responsibility, you are a human being, breathing, alive, enough. That simple pause is powerful because it reminds you that life is not chasing you. You are allowed to move consciously, built when you choose gratitude instead of comparison. Because comparison is endless, and gratitude is grounding. When you stop measuring your life against someone else's highlight reel, You return to your own path. You remember that growth is personal, that timing is individual, that progress does not need permission. Gratitude doesn't mean you stop wanting more. It means you stop feeling empty while working toward more. Built when you keep small promises to yourself, not for applause, not for recognition, but for integrity. Every time you do what you said you would do, you reinforce self-trust. And self-trust is emotional security. When you trust yourself, the world feels less threatening. You stop doubting every decision. You stop seeking constant reassurance. You become grounded, built when you guard your mind in a world addicted to stimulation. Because attention is currency now. Everyone wants it. Everything competes for it. And if you don't choose intentionally what enters your mind, your peace will be shaped by algorithms, opinions, and fear-based headlines. A protected mind is not ignorant. It is selective. It knows when to engage and when to step back. It knows when to speak and when to stay silent. It knows that peace is more valuable than proving a point, built when you serve without needing to be seen, because giving shifts your identity from what can I get to what can I contribute, and that if changes how life feels. Service reminds you that you matter beyond achievement, that your presence can ease someone else's burden, that your life is not just about personal milestones, but shared humanity. And nothing heals the heart like usefulness rooted in kindness, built when you accept what you cannot control and master what you can. This is where maturity lives. When you stop exhausting yourself trying to control outcomes, people, and timing, and instead focus on effort, attitude, and response. This acceptance does not make you passive. It makes you wise. You stop asking life to be fair. You start asking yourself to be steady. And steadiness is peace, built when you end the day with reflection instead of self-punishment. Because every day is incomplete. Something always goes wrong. Something always remains undone. If you carry that weight into sleep, tomorrow begins heavier than it needs to. Reflection teaches you to learn without condemning yourself, to acknowledge mistakes without losing self-worth, to see progress even when perfection is absent. And this is crucial, because life is not about getting everything right. It is about getting better, gently, consistently, honestly. Now here is the deeper truth most people miss. Happiness is not something you feel all the time. It is something that returns quickly when things go wrong. That is the real test. When you face disappointment, do you collapse or recalibrate? When plans fail, do you panic or pause? When people die, disappoint you, do you harden or understand? Daily inner work shortens emotional recovery time. You still feel pain, you still feel sadness, you still feel frustration, but you don't drown in them. You process, you learn, you move forward. And that ability to recover with grace is what makes happiness sustainable. Because life is unpredictable. Careers shift, relationships change, health fluctuates, dreams evolve. If your happiness depends on everything staying perfect, it will never last. But if your happiness is rooted in who you are becoming, it grows stronger with time. This is why inner work is not selfish. It is essential. A regulated mind creates healthier relationships. A grounded heart makes wiser decisions. A disciplined life reduces regret. A grateful attitude softens hardship. A reflective soul grows steadily. And when these become daily, happiness stops being fragile. You stop living in emotional extremes. You stop needing constant validation. You stop chasing approval. You begin to live from a place of quiet confidence. And quiet confidence is powerful. It doesn't announce itself. It doesn't compare. It doesn't rush. It moves steadily, faithfully, patiently. As you step into 2026, understand this. The year itself will not determine your happiness. Your habits will, Not the big dramatic moments, but the small repeated choices no one applauds. How you wake up, how you think, how you treat people, how you handle disappointment, how you speak to yourself, how you end your day. These are the real architects of your emotional life. And yes, some days you will forget, some days you will react, some days you will feel lost again. That does not mean you failed, it means you are human. What matters is not perfection, but return. Return to awareness, return to gratitude, return to discipline, return to service, return to reflection, return to faith. Faith, not as blind optimism, but as trust that growth is happening even when clarity is not immediate. Faith that effort matters. Faith that character compounds. Faith that peace is built slowly but lost quickly, so it must be guarded gently. And if you can live this way, something profound happens. You stop asking life, when will I be happy? And you start saying, I know how to take care of my happiness. That is freedom. Because nothing outside you has permanent power over your inner state anymore. Not success, not failure, not praise, not criticism. You still care, you still strive, you still dream, but you are no longer emotionally homeless. You have an inner home, and a person who has an inner home cannot be shaken easily. So walk into 2026 with intention, not anxiety. Protect your mornings, honor your growth, respect your limits, serve quietly, reflect honestly, trust deeply, and remember this final truth, carry it with you. Happiness is not loud, it is loyal. It stays with those who show up for it daily, and when you do, nothing can steal it. Then let me go even deeper. Not louder, not faster, but deeper. Where this message stops sounding like motivation and starts feeling like truth. Because real wisdom does not excite you, it settles you. At some point in life, you realize that the problem was never that life was too hard. The problem was that you were trying to live outside yourself. You were chasing approval instead of alignment. You were chasing speed instead of direction. You were chasing outcomes instead of values. And that chase is exhausting. Most people don't burn out because they work too much. They burn out because they work without inner clarity. They wake up every day asking, what do I need to do? But rarely ask, who do I need to be today? And when doing disconnects from being, happiness becomes fragile. You see, happiness is not an emotion you hold. It is a state you return to. Life will pull you away from it again and again. Through pressure, through deadlines, through disappointment, through comparison, through fear of falling behind. But the people who remain peaceful are not the ones without problems. They are the ones who have learned how to come back to themselves, come back to awareness, come back to values, come back to faith, come back to discipline, come back to gratitude. That ability to return is what separates inner stability from emotional chaos. This is why daily practices matter more than inspirational moments. Inspiration lifts you temporarily. Practices carry you permanently. A calm morning anchors you before the world tests you. Gratitude grounds you when comparison tries to poison your mind. Discipline gives you dignity when motivation disappears. Mental boundaries protect your peace in a noisy world. Service reminds you that life is bigger than your problems. Acceptance frees you from fighting reality. Reflection turns experience into wisdom. None of these are dramatic, but together they form a life that feels whole, and wholeness is happiness. Many people chase happiness by changing their external circumstances. New job, new city, new relationship, new goal. And sometimes those changes help for a while. But if your inner habits remain the same, the restlessness returns because you can change places without changing pattern. This is why you see people who have it all but feel empty, and people who have very little but feel peaceful. It's not about possession, It's about orientation. Where does your mind go when it is free? Where does your heart rest when nothing is demanding you? If your inner world is constantly restless, no amount of external success will calm it. But if your inner world is steady, even uncertainty becomes manageable. That steadiness is not luck, it is trained. Trained through conscious mornings, trained through mindful thinking, trained through service, trained through restraint, trained through surrender, trained through reflection, day after day. And here is the uncomfortable truth most people avoid. You already know what steals your happiness. You know which habits drain you. You know which thoughts weaken you. You know which distractions leave you empty. You know which relationships exhaust you. You know which patterns repeat. Happiness doesn't disappear because of ignorance. It disappears because of avoidance. Avoidance of discipline. Avoidance of silence. Avoidance of self-honesty. Growth begins the moment you stop running from yourself. When you sit quietly and admit, this habit is hurting me, this thought is not serving me, this reaction is costing me peace, this pace is unsustainable, that honesty is not weakness, that honesty is courage, and courage is the beginning of change. Many people want a peaceful life but resist peaceful practices. They want calm without slowing down, confidence without discipline, clarity without reflection, growth without discomfort. But life doesn't work that way. The things that protect happiness are often the things the ego resists most. Silence, routine, humility, service, surrender. The ego wants excitement, the soul wants alignment, and happiness lives with the soul. As you move forward, especially into a new year, don't ask for life to be easier. Ask for yourself to be steadier, because an easier life will still challenge you, but a steadier you can handle life. Ask for patience, not shortcuts. Ask for wisdom, not just success. Ask for depth, not just speed. And most importantly, ask for the strength to live consciously. Conscious living is not complicated. It is just rare. It means you don't numb discomfort immediately. You don't react instantly. You don't consume endlessly. You don't speak thoughtlessly. You don't rush blindly. You pause, you choose, you respond. And in those pauses, happiness finds space to stay. Let me say something gently but clearly. If you don't decide how to live your days will decide how you feel. And most days, left unconscious, will pull you towards stress instead of peace. So decide how you wake up. Decide what you feed your mind. Decide what you tolerate. Decide what you value. Decide how you close your day. These decisions don't change your life overnight. They change the direction of your life, and direction matters more than speed. Even if progress feels slow. If the direction is right, peace increases. Confidence grows. Clarity sharpens. Happiness stabilizes. And one day, quietly, you will realize something has changed. You still face problems, but you don't panic. You still work hard, but you don't feel empty. You still have goals, but they don't define your worth. You still fail sometimes, but you don't collapse. You feel rooted. That rootedness is what people call inner peace. And inner peace is not passive. It is powerful. It allows you to stand firm without becoming rigid, to care deeply without becoming desperate, to strive without losing yourself. So if you remember nothing else, remember this. Happiness is not about having more control over life. It is about having more command over yourself. And self-mastery is built daily, quietly, faithfully. Protect your inner life. Everything else will follow. So remember this, as you walk forward from here, life will not always give you clarity, but faith gives you steadiness. You don't need to control the whole journey. You only need the courage to take the next right step. Show up with sincerity. Do the work quietly. Trust the process deeply. Because when your heart is aligned with truth, Even the unseen steps are guided. And when you walk with faith, nothing in this world can steal your peace. Don't wait for life to slow down before you live well. Learn to live well while life is moving fast. Choose awareness over autopilot. Choose discipline over excuses. Choose service over selfishness. Choose faith over fear. Because happiness doesn't arrive one day. It is built daily by the choices you repeat. And when your life is rooted in values, no storm can shake your foundation. Walk forward with purpose. Your peace will follow. The world will always change. Circumstances will rise and fall. People will come and go. But the one thing that remains is the quality of the person you become. So, invest in your character. Guard your inner life. Live with gratitude, discipline, and faith. Because when your foundation is strong, life may test you, but it will never break you. And that is the kind of happiness no one can take it away.